Taking electrical energy from a battery and turning it into physical movement is a neat trick. We usually first encounter it in children's toys. But that exact same invisible conversion is what spins the heavy metal blades of a desk fan and drives the mechanical chuck of a power drill. They all rely on the DC motor. To understand how these motors work, we have to look at the electricity itself. Think of a copper wire like a pipe. When you apply voltage, the electrical equivalent of water pressure, it forces free electrons to rush through that pipe in a single direction. As those electrons move, they naturally generate a weak magnetic field around the wire. If you take that straight wire and wrap it into a tight coil, those tiny individual fields stack on top of each other. The geometry multiplies the force. By combining electrical pressure with a coiled wire, you create an electromagnet. Unlike the permanent magnets sticking to your fridge, this is a magnet you can fully control, turning its pulling power on and off at will. The DC motor's outer casing, the stator, houses two fixed magnets, creating a constant north and south pole. Placing our coiled electromagnet, the rotor, directly into that center gap and turning the power on establishes a second magnetic field inside. Opposite magnetic poles attract. The north end of our powered coil is immediately pulled toward the south end of the stator, causing the entire middle assembly to spin. And then it stops. The coil locks into perfect alignment with the outer magnets. Magnets inherently want to reach a state of rest, tightly bound to their opposites. But a resting magnet does absolutely no physical work. To build a functioning motor, we have to engineer a way to prevent this magnet from ever getting comfortable. Engineers diagnose this exact problem using Fleming's left-hand rule. It's a method to map out invisible magnetic interactions and predict exactly how a wire will move. Think of your first finger as the direction of the permanent magnetic field, pushing from north to south. Your second finger represents the electrical current flowing through the wire. Your thumb dictates thrust. On the last side of our coil, the combined physics force the wire to violently push upward. Because electricity travels in a loop, the current on the right side of the coil is flowing in the exact opposite direction. The physical force flips, pushing that side downward. These opposing forces work together beautifully to spin the coil exactly 180 degrees. Then they hit a vertical dead zone. The upward force and the downward force are now pushing directly against each other. They cancel each other out. Fleming's rule proves the natural physics of the setup will drive the rotating coil right into this inescapable trap. The solution relies on two mechanical parts. Attached to the spinning coil is a commutator, a copper ring split down the middle. Pressing against that ring are two stationary blocks, called brushes, which deliver power from the battery. The millisecond the coil hits that vertical dead zone, the stationary brushes slip into the physical gap between the copper halves. The electricity cuts out completely. The electromagnet dies. But it's heavy, and physical momentum keeps it drifting just past that empty gap. The brushes instantly make contact with the opposite half of the copper ring. Power rushes back into the coil, but because the connections have swapped, the electricity is now flowing backward. Reversing the current instantly flips Fleming's rule. The side of the wire that was pushing up is now pushing down. The rotation continues uninterrupted. By intentionally breaking the circuit and throwing the electricity into reverse at the exact moment of failure, engineers outsmarted the physics. That momentary loss of power creates endless mechanical motion. That split ring setup solves the jam, but a single coil has a glaring flaw. If you turn the motor off while the brushes are resting exactly inside that dead zone gap, no electricity can flow. The motor won't be able to start again. You fix that by adding more coils. Dividing the rotor into 3 separate arms, spaced 120 degrees apart, guarantees that at least one coil is always in an active position. The commutator is sliced into smaller segments to match. As the rotor spins, the brushes deliver power exclusively to the single arm in the perfect pushing position, passing the electricity like a baton. There's still a hidden drain on the system. If the central spinning core is just a solid block of metal, the shifting magnetic fields generate eddy currents, chaotic, swirling pockets of electrical energy that produce useless heat. Engineers solve this by slicing the solid metal core into hundreds of razor-thin, insulated discs. This lamination physically traps and shrinks those parasitic currents, recovering that wasted energy. These precise micro-adjustments, multiplying the coils and slicing up the heavy iron core, turn a stuttering physics experiment into a hyper-efficient commercial machine. Put it all together, and the violence of the physics disappears into a smooth, high-speed blur. The sparking at the brushes is the only visual clue that the current is reversing thousands of times a minute. The exact same principles that govern a few strands of copper wire were scaled up to build massive hand-wound iron titans that powered early industry. A DC motor relies on an elegant trick of physics. By constantly breaking its own circuits, the machine is perfectly engineered to chase a state of magnetic rest that it is physically prevented from ever reaching.